A number of South African companies, including Telkom, Standard Bank, and more recently MTN and Tiger Brands, have learned expensive lessons in Nigeria. Some say the country's tightening of the regulatory environment highlights the unpredictability of doing business in that country, while others say it will ultimately be good for business. In studio to discuss some of the developments in Nigeria is Finweek editor Jana Marais. Jana, lovely to have you again. So Tiger Brands, as you know, has been in the news. This has got to do with Tiger Brands Consumer Group, or was known as Dangote Flour Mills, and of course MTN also has been in the news. Should we be concerned about developments in that particular region?
I think investors should be distinguishing between two types of risk here, and I think it's very much country risk is something separate from company risk. And I think in the cases of Tiger Brands and MTN, unfortunately for their management teams, I think it's much more a case of company risk than it is of country risk. If you look at MTN, for example, the rules were pretty clear about what they were supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. All their competitors, managed to do it, and then you get fined what the rules say you will be fined, and all of a sudden everyone is saying it's Nigeria that's a bad place to do business. Well, I think the question should really be, well, why didn't we comply with why did MTN not comply with the rules? And in the case of Tiger Brands, you kind of get the idea that they didn't really do their homework properly before they went in there, probably overpaid for an asset. I don't think we have a lot of detail on exactly what went wrong there, but I also again think a much more blame should go to Tiger Brands than necessarily Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. The president of Nigeria has been very vocal about clamping down on corruption. What's your view, in terms of, you said with MTN we had to comply with regulations there. This is not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
Look, exactly, that's my view. I think a $5.2 billion fine sends a very strong message, and there's been lots of speculation about, but it's a nice way for them to get revenue in, which they desperately need from a government perspective. But the same investors will go and say, but all we want is regulatory certainty, and we want to know what the rules are. And so you can't have it both ways, I'm afraid. And I think this is definitely a good, it sends a strong message that they are serious about clamping down on corruption, and that the rules will be followed. And I think every company doing business there are spending a lot of time looking at the rules they should be complying with and making sure that there's no surprises like that in store for them. So I think in the longer term, certainly this will be positive.
Are we fixating too much on the regulatory environment versus the Nigerian economy, where the real issues seem to lie?
Yes, I think the risk. Everyone's saying the MTN fine is very damaging to investor sentiment, but I really think investors are more concerned about the state of the economy. I think the fiscus, there's a huge deficit in the fiscus. They've been struggling due to the lower oil prices. We've seen growth slow down quite substantially in Nigeria. So it's not the boom market it was 5-6 years ago, for sure. But I think there's also been positive signs. I think we finally saw the president announce his cabinet this week, and we'll see how that all plays out. But I think it's definitely an exciting market, and I think any company that's serious about doing business in Africa will still be looking at it regardless of the current economic climate.
Well, that's certainly a market that can't be ignored. Jana, thank you so much. Thanks. That is the Finweek editor, Jana Marais. We're going to be taking a very short break, but when we come back, we'll be talking about all things relating to that decision that was made from the South African Reserve Bank yesterday. 25 basis points. Yes, that's how much the interest rate was increased by. What impact will this have on the South African economy and you? Stay with us to find out.